Welcome to the PDA letter on the issue. I am Walt Morris with PDA, and I am delighted to be here with Dr. Radhakrishna Tirumalai and Edward Tidswell, editors of the 2024 PDA best-selling book, Industrial Pharmaceutical Microbiology Quality Control. We are here at the PDA Pharmaceutical Microbiology Conference 2025, where Ed presented and Radha has been in attendance. Thank you both for joining me on the issue.
Thanks, Walt.
Thank you. Thanks, Walt. Yeah.
In 2023, PDA partnered with Euromed Communications in London, and IPM Quality Control was our second book. Can you tell us what readers will gain from this book?
The readers, the QC microbiology professionals will gain an understanding of how these methods were developed, what they were meant for, what was the history, how the requirements came about, and how to use them so that they can successfully use these things in the QC laboratory for releasing and testing products.
Yeah, and you know, there's a huge amount of background information in each of these chapters.
Yeah.
And you know, we'd made sure that there was a lot of principle behind each chapter content. So the core science is very strong. What I also liked that we were able to do is ask the contributing authors to make sure that there was some contextual background included, some history, and I think you just mentioned that.
Yes.
You know, as a developing microbiologist, I made some assumptions on some of the standards out there, some of the USP chapters, and I found I was completely wrong in discussion with you and the other chapter authors. So it's an invaluable textbook that gives you that information that you're just not going to find anywhere else.
Well, that was a great anecdote about putting together the book, and I can imagine you must have learned a lot putting it together, because I know there are really well-known experts in the book like David Husong, and a well-known PDA personality, author, expert in the field, Gene Moldenauer, reviewed the book and said nearly all the chapters, if not all, were written by U.S. committee and expert panel members. So could you tell the listeners and the readers a little bit about how you put the team together?
It's fairly easy to put the team together, because once we identified the topics, the critical topics that needed to be addressed, we were lucky that we were working with a lot of those people, either directly as part of our USP activity, or we knew those other people based upon their contributions to the pharmaceutical QC microbiology knowledge base. So we were able to identify these critical members as part of our team that would author these chapters. So that's how we were able to choose them, and it so happened coincidentally that many of them were members of the USP Microbiology Expert Committee. Some of them are not. So that was not a necessary criteria. The topics that we chose were mostly compendial, so obviously the authors were going to be committee members.
Yeah. So fundamentally, pretty much our network, and you know, one thing that helps us with gathering that collective of experts was having a rich network, some of which we've developed over many years through the PDA, not only through USP, but also through our work and contribution at PDA too. And I want to add, you mentioned there about many of them being members or past members of the USP, which is great, but many of those contributors were also members of the FDA or past members of health authorities as well. So the information that you get in the textbook not only comes from genuine experts and SMEs in the field, but many of those also have a background in regulatory science as well that really complements the science quite nicely.
Yeah, and you mentioned when we talked beforehand that there was James Ager, former leader of PDA. A lot of PDA members also contributed to the book, but like many of our documents, journal articles, tech reports, authors don't always have to be part of PDA, but we seem to attract experts no matter whether they're a member or not. They're usually experts in their field, and that's a great accomplishment that you put together this team. And all our listeners watching this video right now can go to the bookstore and they can find the table of contents listing all the authors I recommend doing it. It's really impressive. And which reminds me, actually, we haven't really talked about your backgrounds. So why don't for those out there, we have new members, we have new people watching these videos. Why don't you real quickly tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah, it's interesting. My background is, my undergrad is in chemistry. My PhD is actually in biochemistry. My microbiology experience comes later, work-related experience, and then compendial microbiology as part of USP. So there's a lot of biochemistry, and there's a lot of microbiology too, and a lot of compendial microbiology, regulatory microbiology, talking to people, working, and also experience through PDA, training people both in the industry and also the various regulatory agencies throughout the world. That's how my background is compendial microbiology, regulatory microbiology, and a lot of biochemistry.
Wow, right.
Yeah.
How about you, Ed?
Well, I can actually boast that my first degree is in microbiology, with my PhD also in, well, microbial physiology. But that being said, I've been fortunate enough to know Radha for many years. Friend, colleague, we work together now, and I've been fortunate enough to learn a great deal from Radha. So most of my experience comes from industry, and I've been fortunate enough to be a PDA member for a long time, and since 2010 as a volunteer with the USP.
That's fabulous. And you guys are both with Merck right now?
Yes.
We are, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I thought that was so. So we're here talking about your book. I already mentioned it was the bestseller. I would imagine it probably feels pretty good to know you had a bestseller. And when I say a bestseller for the year, I mean including the tech reports. It was the best-selling book we had last year, and that was we were very happy about that. How do you guys feel to know that?
Well, I didn't know that, so that's really stunning to know. It's very flattering. Yeah, I feel pretty good about that.
Very gratifying to know that. That tells us that we did read the pulse of the QC microbiologists and the importance of the QC microbiologists relative to PDA also. That microbiologists are very important for you, and I'm sure you recognize that.
Oh, absolutely.
And
yeah.
so by being a bestseller, we understand where the importance of the QC, what the needs of the QC microbiologists are, and that we were able to read that. We read it quite accurately that way.
Yeah. In fact, we're here at the 20th PDA Pharmaceutical Microbiology Conference, so I just think that, and it's our biggest yet, so I think that speaks to the importance of this topic, and a lot of PDA members are microbiologists. So before I start dominating this video, what else would you like to tell our readers, our members, our community about this book and your thoughts on it?
Yes, as you probably have read the book or going to read the book, and hopefully you will, if you haven't, you will read the book. It's very helpful for you if you're navigating through the QC microbiology laboratory. It will be a good core subject for you, core textbook, but you have to understand that some of these technologies that are being used for the same intent is going to change with the advance of newer technologies. But the way we have assembled the book is that the science, the basic science is not going to change. You'll understand how some of these things have developed over time. So it's still going to be relevant and useful even for the future. And what we might do in the future is add those newer technologies to achieve the same goal. So it is going to be important and relevant to the QC microbiologists in the future, regardless of technologies changing.
Yeah, I think it's seldom taught well anyway. Maybe at the PDA training centre, but certainly in terms of universities or schools, this sort of information is seldom available. So the book is invaluable there. And we went out of our way to make sure that the content of the chapters were based upon really strong core scientific principle. So as Radha said, essentially that should not go out of date, even though we've been talking about bringing in new chapters or new technologies in those chapters. It will still remain contemporary.
Well, we certainly do look forward to in the future if you do a second edition of this book or a new edition. That would be great. And I want to thank you both for taking your time. Ed, I know you presented just not too long ago. Radha, you've been here for 2 days at this conference. There's a lot more interesting things to do than to sit here and talk to me, so I thank you both. And I look forward to your next project, whether it be on this book, another book, or maybe updating an older book. And PDA, we're very grateful to have members like you, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Walt.
Thank you, Walt, and it was a pleasure working with the PDA as well as the Euromed Communications. It was a very pleasant experience that we were able to finish this book in a comparatively quick fashion, and the experience was very professional working with you guys.
Yep.
And we thank you both you and Euromed Communications for that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.